I mean, minor details. I was just getting it. It's just about to start streaming to YouTube, but it hasn't yet. I need some tools. I need some tools, and apparently a bunch of them aren't in my drawer. I probably brought them upstairs to use or something. I will work with what I've got. Actually, no, I won't, because I don't have enough. So I'm leaving you alone for just a minute. Say hi to anybody who joins. Okay. Oh. I do not know where I left any of my several sets of jewelry pliers.
That's so good.
And I'm not going to spend the entire time searching for them.
I feel like that's a thing that I frequently just end up buying new ones of because I can't find them too.
Yeah. So I'm probably just going to be sketching during this one, but I doubt I'll have anything in particular to show for it. I know Becca's probably not going to make it tonight.
Okay.
She had a rough day at work, among other things. So theoretically, Lisa and Karen are on their way, I hope. Not that I mind just talking to you, but you know. I love your earrings.
Oh, thank you. Etsy.
Nice. Of course, I see earrings like that, and I'm like, could I make that? Let me think.
They're laser printed. I'm not laser printed. They're 3D printed.
That's cool.
Are, which means they're very, very lightweight. So, which is good.
Well, I was
big.
Oh
I have a few that are big that are made out of heavy materials that, you know, it's hard to tell when you buy earrings online if they're what they're made of.
I don't
get bored.
That's something I need to remember to think through. I don't wear big earrings because I can't stand having them touching my neck.
Yeah. And some people are fine with the heavier ones, but they give me a headache if I wear them for too long.
Oh, a headache. I was expecting that they hurt your ears.
No, it's just, I think it's just kind of.
But it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just wasn't what I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
I've had some like smaller earrings that were still weightier than I would expect them to be.
Yeah.
And
material that is made out of.
Yeah. And they, you know, it's like a tug on my ears, but if anything, it just starts to become irritating to me being able to feel that there's something there.
Right. It's like I want to be able to put it on and forget about it.
Exactly.
This is why I don't wear lipstick very often either, because it's impossible to put lipstick on and just forget about it for the rest of the day.
I don't do makeup at all, and it's
this
not.
I can put on and forget about it.
See, it's not really for any reason other than I don't care enough.
Yeah.
But then because I've never cared enough to bother with makeup, when I do wear it, it feels wrong.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
when you're used to how
it
you
does
look
end
a
up
certain
bugging
way and
me.
you change that up, you're just like,
Hi, Karen. How are you?
I'm doing good. Sorry it took me so long to get on. My puppies couldn't decide if they wanted me in or out.
Well, that's okay, because I'm still wondering where your sister is.
Oh, she might be finishing the last pages of the book. we were at the shop getting her tires changed from snow-studded tires to regular summer tires. And we thought they'd be in and out because her appointment was at 4:30. And we didn't get out of there until 5:45. And she had the book in the trunk the whole time. So she couldn't even there waiting for...
What? Okay, there we go. Sorry.
So
I had to get the second window up with the live stream itself so that I can see if anybody makes any comments. But then I have to mute that, or else you'll hear everything you say 5 seconds after you said it.
I hate that so much.
I haven't touched this project in probably a year or two.
Oh,
Say hello to her.
Oh,
Nice.
I have a matching Dobby too. Hold on, I gotta find Dobby.
Okay, Dobby. I'm not a Harry Potter fan, and yet I still am like, Dobby.
Dobby's my favorite character. When he died in the book, I cried, and when I went to see the movie and he died, I almost broke Paul's hand. Like, I'm just squeezing it so hard. I read 35 books one summer to get my library to have Dobby's statue in it. Like, I love Dobby. This is Dobby.
Oh, that's so cute. He's got his little sock. That's so cute.
His eyes are a little chewed on because when we first got the Chihuahuas, I was sitting at my desk and I went to the kitchen, and the next thing I know, they have taken his head hostage.
Oh.
And they chewed his eyes a little bit. So poor Dobby's been to the ringer.
I mean, I feel like that's in character, but
Like his chewed eyes. Chewed up eyes.
Yeah, I just totally lost what I was about to say. I'm drawing today, but I'm just beginning initial sketches for something that will later become a watercolor. So
nice.
There probably won't be much to show by the end of today. Lisa, we have a Lisa.
Look at this crochet hook. It's a wand, but it's a crochet hook.
Oh, that's cool. It's perfect.
Is that from this?
Everything is on theme.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's the same crochet book.
Yeah,
my sister gave me this, but I don't.
That's the back of the book. It's got Harry on it.
Yeah,
nice.
it's in the book.
Aw,
I'm gonna give it to my niece at some point because, like, I'm not a Harry Potter fan, and anything that's in that I can make.
If you're gonna spend your time making a thing, you might as well make something you like.
Yeah.
Look at all of them. Look at all the names in here.
Nice.
So, there's like Harry, Hermione, Ron, the student robe and scarf, the house, Dobby, Hagrid, Norbert, Dumbledore, McGonagall, Sorting Hat, Voldemort, Snape, Ginny, Hedwig. I figured since they're all basically the generic shape, all you can do is really use the color.
Yeah, you could go from there.
Any character.
Yeah.
So I just gotta finish Harry.
I was about to say, and in here, my favorite character on that list.
Luna's not on here. Luna's my favorite, and she's not in here.
Who is it, Luna? How dare they not put Luna in there? That's so sad. Luna's fantastic.
Well, she totally deserves to be in there. And Draco too. Draco's not in here either. What about Cedric? He died. He deserves a spot in the book.
Right. Cedric is the best. I mean,
that's the thing, though. You can just keep going and crochet all of them.
Right.
It doesn't have to be in the book. Just
change the colors.
Yeah.
Little red and gold.
And maybe not put the scar on.
The glasses on him, yeah.
Well, I was thinking the scar, but yeah. Lisa, you're muted.
Yeah, I'm muted. I was looking for a crochet hook. I apparently don't have one right here. So I don't have a project I'm working on because I don't have a crochet hook. I have one right here. You want it? Here, just pass it through the screen.
Here.
Maybe you have some jewelry pliers for Caroline.
Yeah, if you have jewelry pliers for me, because that's what I can't figure out where I put it. They both start reaching for them.
Needle nurse.
I was planning
I do have jewelry
continuing to work on this chain,
Ooh.
build it further, but I'm gonna work on sketching for now because I can't find it.
Oh,
So
flash cutters, but I have them.
welcome to the undead, because apparently that's what we were reading this time.
Right?
Both stories.
Yeah.
I was at, like halfway through the second one. I was like, was the guy from the first one somebody that this guy reanimated? Is that
I think it was interesting because in the notes for the first one, it talked about how he was even aware, like when he wrote it, how much he was imitating Poe's style in this one. But I can see echoes of multiple Poe stories in this one. Like it feels a lot like a cross between Mask of the Red Death and Follow the House of Usher, almost, except starting a little bit differently. Yeah.
I love Follow the House of Usher.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of my favorites.
That
what?
So I mentioned the Poe project that I'm doing with my friend at all in our chats.
I don't remember.
So a friend of mine is a musician, and up till this point, the extent of our collaboration has been, I've done some album art for him. But at some point, we had the brainchild of doing a album of cowboy ballads based on Edgar Allan Poe stories. And I was going to do the lyrics. I was going to do the lyrics, and he was going to do the music.
Nice.
But we didn't have a plan for Follow the House of Usher. I'm sure he's going to love it if I tell him we want to add one to the list. But we've done 4 or 5 so far, with plans for 3 more. There's one where I've done the lyrics and he hasn't done anything with it, and 2 that we haven't done anything with, but I didn't have a plan for that one.
Sounds fun though.
To do it. I should think about it at least if I have a good idea. Yeah. But yeah, it started as this. Now there are at least 2 songs on there that feel right for the album, but aren't actually based on Poe. And we also went off the rails on the cowboy concept on a couple songs. We released a set of singles, and it's kind of funny that he chose those ones to release as singles because they're definitely the best ones that we've done so far, but they are the farthest off the cowboy concept so far too. Like, one of them isn't even a Poe story, and it sounds a lot like Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, and the other one we ripped off the style of early My Chemical Romance. Like he labeled the different instrument tracks by the different band members. That's the extent to which we were mimicking the style, but it's my favorite. It was my favorite set of lyrics I sent him, and it's
awesome.
It's based on The Pit and the Pendulum.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll have to
another one that I love.
I'll have to drop it in the chat when we're done.
Yeah, please do. I'd love to.
Yeah.
See that.
But anyway, major derail, but I can see not only the style of the stylistic influence of Poe in that first one, but also if I read it and didn't know it had Lovecraft's name on it, I would totally think it was Poe.
I don't know if I would have thought about it one way or the other, but I think that you analyze the styles more than I do. Something about having been teaching them in English classes or something like that, I think probably affects this. So yeah, I'm curious.
I didn't show my project. Just a second.
Well, everybody was reading the first one, The Outsider.
I'm painting Gandalf and me.
Ooh.
Also, I'm announcing this slowly and gradually to various corners of the internet. This calendar will be my last Tolkien calendar, and I'm slowly discontinuing the Tolkien items in my shop. I've made a very big life decision this week, and it comes after doing this for over 12 years. So I know that some of you are just getting to know me and my work, and it's going to be quite a shock. I'm going to have a couple of regular Etsy customers who are going to be very unhappy with me, but it is not their life.
It's not.
And there just comes a point where you've done a thing enough that you need to seek other sources of inspiration. And that's kind of where we're at here.
I can definitely understand that.
Yeah. But I am proud of this.
Even though I will miss your Tolkien calendars.
Yes. There will still be calendars. Just so you know.
But Tolkien.
There's going to be an octopus calendar in 2024. That's my consolation for stopping the Tolkien one.
Hey, I forgive you. Anyway, so
yes, I'm so sorry.
No. When reading The Outsider,
yes.
What was everybody thinking as you were going through it? What were you expecting was the case?
I think when I was reading, I was thinking like he'd been shut off in this old world. Like maybe it was like a dream, like with some of the other stories, the place that he just got stuck in, like in a coma or something.
Mm-hmm. It felt very dreamlike for sure.
Yeah. I felt like it was a woman though. Like I never saw the word he, and I imagined it as a woman.
Well, yeah, it could be. It could be a man or a woman. It's all first person.
I assumed it was a woman.
I thought it was a man.
I tend to just assume that it's a man when it's not specified and it's written by a man, and I assume it's a woman when it's not specified and written by a woman. And if I don't know, then it's whatever my brain goes to that particular time. Which is funny because I write a lot more male characters than female characters.
I used to do that. That is
weird. I don't know why I do, because my whole life I've always connected with women more just as friends, sometimes, or anything.
I think it's more of a genre thing than anything else, which is maybe a bit tropey.
No, but yeah, it makes sense.
If you're writing a war story or like a lot of science fiction and fantasy tends to be at times, it would make sense that you'd have more male. Yeah.
What I was doing as I was reading through it, like the first part, while the narrator, male or female, was trying to get to the top of this castle that turned out not a castle. I thought that it was legit, that they were locked away somewhere, and of course it could turn out that they were locked away because they were insane. It could turn out that they were part of some great experiment or somebody's creation or something. But once they were out and moving along, I'm like, wait, how did you swim across a river when you literally just saw outside for the first time? How could you have known how to swim? And then a few other things, and that's when I started going, okay, is this person a zombie? Is this person is this a monster of some sort and not a person per se at all? Is this is this all in their imagination? But as soon as they were up in stepping through the window into the castle that they went to, that's when I was just like, it was super obvious. And it's like he drew it out for so much longer after that, and had that final line, like it was supposed to be this really hitting thing. And I I don't know if that's just how my brain works. I don't know if that struck everybody
I
that
had
way.
almost figured it out as soon as he came in and everybody started screaming and running. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, he's a
I
monster.
think it probably was one of those things that the reader was supposed to figure out before the character did.
Okay. Well,
It's
it's just the
measure of a different kind of suspense that you get with that.
It could
And I
be
feel
because
like-
it was from so long ago, and nowadays
Mhm.
there's so many like genre where that's a thing. Like, oh no, I'm the monster. Like we've seen it so many times that we're used to that kind of thing.
Yeah, that could be
that makes sense.
familiarity.
I was just wondering because the way that the final paragraph is, like, from the time that he actually touches the mirror to the time that he reveals having discovered that that was a mirror, there's still like
There's a lot
a
of
paragraph,
time between
a
that.
big paragraph in between there.
Which is where it's different from Poe, because when Poe is done, he just stops.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something that, as much as I love so many of Poe's stories, it's something that strikes me sometimes like, and then what?
I have a good friend who will say she hates short stories because they do that. And I'm like, no, that's the strength of the genre. If you want to write a story where you just stab somebody and run away, that's what
You stab somebody and run away. I love it. I know North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell, and somewhat similarly, and if you've seen there's a BBC miniseries of it.
no one knows.
What? You cut out for a second. Yeah. And like the series, like watching it, I felt like, wow, this just kind of like it built up to this, and then it's like they're just sitting at that train station together, and like what, like it doesn't feel like it quite completed, but the book is like more abrupt in how it ends.
Like not really technically finish that one before she died or something?
No, she did.
Oh, she did? Okay.
She actually had other ones that she published after that.
Okay.
But including the biography of, which Bronte was it? Charlotte? I think it was Charlotte.
Okay.
That she wrote a biography of. But no, it's like you get to the part where like they get through their misunderstanding, and you're like, there's literally another side of this page, and that's all that's left in this book. What is happening here? And like you turn the page and it's like, and done. Okay. That's where we're stopping, apparently.
That's funny.
There was something else I'm not getting much sketching done because I keep flipping back through the book.
I know I'm not getting much crocheting. I'm still looking back at the instructions. Wants me to do a 3 double crochet bob in each stitch, and I was like, what the flip is I forgot. It's been so long since I crocheted.
So, like in the Herbert West story, are they technically zombies or Frankensteins? Or is Frankenstein a zombie?
Well, if he is a reanimated dead creature, then Frankenstein is a zombie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of a sort, yeah.
In a lot of ways, especially with his whole thing about and anybody watching this who didn't catch this, we moved on to Herbert West in this conversation.
Sorry, I'm skipping ahead.
No, it's good because I wanted to say something about comparing the two. So that was perfect timing in my opinion. The way that he keeps like, oh, I need a fresher body. And it's basically like they have to have like just died and you reanimate them. Like science can do that now. It's not with a thing you inject, although there are stimulants that help, but it's the electrical shocks that make a bigger difference generally. But people can be clinically dead for what's the longest it's been, like 7-8 minutes, I want to say.
Yeah, there's a certain time before the brain ceases.
Yeah. And
which I thought it was very interesting that he got that correct, having no real scientific there was no way for him to know the science of that.
Right.
Yeah.
And he got that part correct, but then like so much else was not. And I was just like, it's funny to me because like reading something like the first stories in the book where they're like these giant fish monster things and whatever. And I'm just like, cool, I can accept this because technically I have no proof that that's not somewhere. But then I get to this and I'm just like, that does not match science, and that is not how science works. This is totally fake.
It's like I used to read
giant fish monster. That's more realistic.
C.S. Lewis's Out of the Silent Planet with my ninth graders, right? And I would just have this conversation with them at the beginning of class. I'd be like, he published this in the 40s. Nobody had done space travel. This sounded plausible, and it was a very imaginative take on this. He was not a scientist. We can enjoy this without picking apart his very impossible space travel.
And I love that story, even though I'm like, this is so completely impossible. I like this one too.
But you just have to get that out of the way at the very get-go. Like we're reading
willful suspension of disbelief.
Yes.
So the thing that interested me the most in what I was going to say comparing the two is that the zombie or whatever he is of the first one came to life in a graveyard and went seeking his original place, whereas everybody that Herbert West reanimated went seeking their grave again. Like, I'm not supposed to be here. I am supposed to be in there. And how they even knew where their own graves were. Like,
it's very interesting.
But,
it was,
but I thought it was a kind of a good side-by-side depiction that the also, different ways that Lovecraft thinks through, like, or thought through, this could be possible, or this could be possible. And
also, one was from the point of view of the reanimated, and one was from the point of view of the animator too. Yeah.
True. Yes. And seeing those different perspectives. I think I was also thinking about the way that he describes Herbert West as, cold, scientific, detached from things, and he describes the creepiness of this, but there still seems to be this something of a reverence to it, like that ability to he talks about the narrator talks about how when he what am I trying to say? When he Herbert doesn't believe in the soul, which I could go off on a whole other tangent on, but it's his whole thing about he doesn't believe in soul. I don't either intellectually, but I have the things that have been ingrained in me that I just can't fully release the possibility of it. And I thought that juxtaposition that he had with their two perspectives on that was interesting, but is also, he seemed to have this a little bit of reverence for the fact that West could be so scientific in it and detached, and the time frame of when this was written, there was a lot of cultural stuff of we're going to just do things by science because science knows, and that's in some ways still a cultural thing, but now we're much better about especially I think our generation gets much better about understanding the importance of having feeling. And it got me thinking, because I love true crime podcasts, and it got me thinking about the way that he describes him is somewhere between sociopath and psychopath. And he seems to think that this is really cool that he can detach himself that way, and I could see people kind of drawing that conclusion in certain points in history and certain cultural pockets. of like, okay, this is really cool to be able to separate from your feelings and just look at it scientifically. And just knowing the makings of serial killers and the dangers, not that every sociopath or psychopath is a serial killer, thankfully. But it's just interesting looking at the different, I guess, the perspective that our modern culture right now has of like, oh, this person completely detaches from their emotions versus at the time of like, hey, he can just step back and look at it scientifically.
Yeah.
I like the way that each of the 6 stories within it had like their own one that was reanimated, their own character.
I didn't look this up, but I feel like it was probably published as a series.
Yeah.
So that, and I got the sense that he tried to write each one so that if that was the first one you read, it was almost like there was a little bit of a one.
Yeah, that's previously
on
Herbert
Reanimator, So you can appreciate this episode without having read the rest of them. I feel like somebody's sleeping on this. This would make a really cool miniseries.
It would. I feel like there was an episode of X-Files that touched on some of the concepts from this. Well, probably more than one, honestly, but but there's one in particular that I'm thinking of with some like a family that was like reanimating the same people, and it wasn't quite exactly like this circumstances of it, but there was this like 70-year-old guy who turned out to be like 150, and it made me think of it in some ways. But yeah, I think that to have like a mini series of this would be really interesting. I also kept getting distracted by the name of the town, Arkham. I was like, so Batman? Are we talking about Batman?
Yeah, I kept thinking that too.
When this is not the first story that he's used the name Arkham. Lovecraft made that word up.
Okay, so what we're saying is
Batman stole it from Lovecraft is what happened. Yes.
Must be. It has to be.
If anybody was going to steal something from Lovecraft in all of the comics, it would have to be the Dark Knight.
Right? So fitting.
The one, okay, what's your perspective on this? So the 4th story that with the guy that like died on his doorstep and he reanimated him, he describes it as like this guy had a weak heart, he dropped, and then in the next one, in his recap of it, he talks about he actually overpowered somebody. And I couldn't tell if it was that same person, if him telling him that his heart had just stopped right on his doorstep, essentially, was a lie that West had originally told him. And it turned out that he had actually overpowered him, or if this was a separate instance that there wasn't a story for.
No, that was it. He stopped by to ask for directions, and Herbert West stabbed him with a needle while he was there and injected him with whatever it was that made him have a heart attack as soon as he got to town.
Okay.
That was what happened.
I didn't get that in the 4th, like reading that story and then reading his recap of it. I was like, wait, what happened?
Yeah, that was what it took me a second to figure that out too. And so I kind of went back and traced it through that story. And that was what happened. There was another line in the story that made that a little bit clearer too.
Okay.
Same thing with the dean. Like they didn't specify that it was actually the dean until the next like section.
Well,
but I kind of felt they'd be like, he said it was someone he just met, but then in the next one they're like, it was the dean, and you're
they kind of alluded to it toward the end when they put him in the asylum, and when they had gotten him all cleaned up, they discovered that he bore a remarkable uncanny similarity to this guy who had just died a few days earlier.
Yeah.
But of course, nobody knew that it was actually the same guy.
Yeah. So when they went out drinking, they actually went out and dug up their old professor.
Right.
And they faked.
So it's hinted at, and then it's made a little bit more clear in that part, I think.
And then they either were drunk or they faked being drunk so that it would look reasonable for them to be carrying someone who appeared unconscious.
No, because I think that was the one. Was that the one with the landlady?
Or had they reanimated? Maybe they'd reanimated him already by the time they took him up to the apartment. But I got the sense that happened in the apartment, that they dragged the body up and then.
See, my take on that, how I thought that came across was that he, like the landlady saw them and just assumed that they were drunk, but it was like 2 o'clock in the morning or something. I don't think they thought that anybody was going to see them in the first place. I think she just assumed that they were bringing home somebody drunk, and they just ran with that story after that.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And then there's the third one, which was, let's just throw in some more racism just for fun.
I mean, we know
the need to mention it. I don't want to just ignore that it's
about Lovecraft going into reading Lovecraft, right? We all knew this. Did we? You didn't? Okay.
I didn't, but I'm not like shocked to discover it. I just feel like I have to mention it because I don't want anybody to think that I'm just okay with it. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lovecraft was not a good person in real life.
As regards to that thing. This guy, really?
I gasp.
I am shocked. Where are my pearls? Where are my pearls? The thing that surprised me the most was at the very end that he kept saying that West has disappeared under horrific circumstances.
Yeah.
I did not think that he actually saw him killed. Like, that's not just disappeared, dude. You watched him die.
Yes.
Yeah, right?
To everybody else, he's disappeared.
We have a better word for this.
Okay, this is a super tangent, but I've been stuck at home for like 6 weeks, and I've been binge watching stuff like crazy. So right now I've been watching through Golden Girls. I just watched this episode. I'm up to the 7th season. This is after I watched Through the Nanny twice. So they there's this episode where Blanche had broken up with somebody who is the editor for the obituaries in a newspaper, and he put in a fake obituary and said that she was 68, died at 68.
Oh my goodness.
And she's like in her 50s, but always claiming that she's 40, and for 7 seasons. And, which is okay because Sophia's age keeps jumping up and down throughout 7 seasons. And so
keeping you on toes.
Yeah, that, or it was created during a time when binge watching wasn't a thing and nobody noticed. So anyway, so she keeps like 68, and she's like, I never expected him to be so vengeful. 68, and Dorothy's sitting there going, and dead, and she's like, but 68, and she's like, yes, and also people think you're dead. We should probably remedy this. And then later she says something about it again, and she's like, 68, and Dorothy's like, and dead. Why does she keep forgetting about the dead part?
Funny.
Anyway, that's what I was thinking of with this. Like, he disappeared. Dead. Forgot about the dead part.
You know what's really cool about Dobby's sock? It actually holds things.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually a sock. Sorry.
Does it fit Dobby?
No, it does not fit Dobby. It's attached to his hand. I can't get his foot.
I just accidentally skipped through the next story. screen sketching here. So I was to some extent confused at the ending.
Oh yeah.
With like the I mean, I know that the people who were dropping the thing off, whatever the thing was that they put in the furnace,
it was his head.
Was it? I was thinking that it probably was, but then I wasn't sure. But what was all this like? They're rising up out of nothing, and they're like ghosts instead of the animated people, and I could not figure out what was happening with that.
That's kind of weird. It made sense to me. Like they were coming for him finally, and that made sense to me. But like them, like the whole and then they disappeared, and when they examined it, you know, there wasn't a hole. I don't know, man. He might have been like maybe they killed him and then like went out the front door or something, and this guy was so upset that his friend died that he just imagined that they went out through the hole.
I was as you were talking, I was starting to think maybe because and I hadn't thought of that before, but it would totally make sense. I mean, he says the very last lines, they imply that I'm a madman or a murderer. Probably I am mad, but I might not be mad if those accursed tomb legions had not been so silent. And like I mean, one of them couldn't talk, you just burned his head. Which again with the science, dude, his head was severed. How does he have vocal cords, much less air passing through them?
Because this is the same level of science as Pirates of the Caribbean. This is fantasy.
That's not fair. Don't do that to me. I was busy complaining about it. Anyway, so they I could see that like these essentially zombies that they created that came in like that would be enough to set anybody off, and I could definitely see that. But he was also there, like he was assisting. Why was it only West they were after? Like he was right there. It's not like he was hiding from them.
Maybe they somehow knew that West was the one who was spearheading it.
Well, the Dean definitely.
Well, it's like how they knew where their graves were. Like, you know, it's like they must automatically know who the reanimator was.
Well,
and the guy who was
where their graves were almost lends credence to his like. And I thought maybe they did see something when they were dead. There was something beyond it, at least to the extent of like they could see themselves being buried.
Well, maybe they remember the first space they saw, which would be West's.
That's true.
And they were being led by the headless guy who West had grabbed before this other guy had been involved.
No, the headless guy was the
guy from the army.
Yeah. What do you
wasn't
mean?
His last words, despite having a head, was jump.
But wasn't that? I could be remembering wrong. Wasn't that one where he grabbed the body and then called his friend in? Like the narrator friend, I mean. I don't know.
No, well, I don't know if they actually specify that, okay. But he says that he was there when he got the body, actually.
Okay.
Think of it, because he describes being horrified by how almost gleefully he finished severing the head.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they just kind of knew who was really responsible for it.
I mean, the narrator followed West along in all of this, so he wasn't entirely stable either. But yeah, he did. He said his last words were "Jump, Ronald." When he came back to life there, and that makes sense because his last memories before actually dying would have been in a plane crash and trying to help anybody else in the plane.
Yeah.
So I think he just went back to that. It was the the one with the needle, it was his words that confused me more, but now that I get that he was.
Yeah, those, I think that Lovecraft was trying to make, we were supposed to understand when we heard those those words, what West had done. But it's not actually super clear.
Yeah, well, as I was reading those words, I was already contemplating, and I was also going like, so did he die after that? And it wasn't until reading and I was pretty sure he did, but I wasn't positive, and it wasn't until reading the recap in the next section, or like skimming the recap, because I didn't fully read the recaps. I was like, I don't need a recap from last week's.
If the show is complicated
or months
enough,
or whatever.
If the writing of the show is complicated enough, sometimes the recaps are where you put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah.
I'm watching Westworld right now. I think we talked about this last time we met. I'm watching Westworld with a friend right now, and sometimes it is not until the recap that I really understand what they were trying to do with some of those episodes. The writing is very dense. There's a lot happening, and it is not always happening in chronological order, and we are not always given an indicator of when that's happening.
There are shows that I always skip the recaps.
Yeah.
And there are shows that I never skip the recaps. And it's either because of that, like I understand what's happening better from watching the recap, even though I just watched that episode. Right. Or it's because they make the recaps interesting. Like
yes.
If it's Nanny, they add extra lines around it, like with them narrating what's happening around it.
Pulled in an entertaining way, or something like that.
Yes. And then you have Murder, She Wrote, where they give a pre-cap instead. Tonight on Murder, She Wrote. Which is great. Please tell me everything is about to happen before I watch it happen.
It is misshapen from being in a bag for too long.
Aw. I mean, you would be too.
I'm talking about the book for a second. I was like, well, there was that one that they described putting in the burlap sack. I don't remember anything about it being misshapen.
Oh, and before you can unsee it, Dobby's a pig. Dobby's a pig.
He looks slightly piggish, yes.
He's Dobby from Penelope. Which only works if you've seen Penelope, but
gives a whole new meaning to Dobby is free.
He's a free pig. I keep one of the ones that we're reading. One of the ones that we're reading next time is The Rats in the Walls, and I am going to have songs from Encanto stuck in my head so much while I'm reading that.
We don't talk about Bruno.
Okay, so there's a debate, about,
some sort of muttering and mumbling.
It's like, so we're gonna talk about Bruno.
Sand.
And Antonio's like, that's Bruno, but the subtitles there's a question mark, and people are like, why is he asking? He's already met Bruno. And I'm like, he's not asking. The subtitles got it wrong. He's telling Camilo that that's Bruno, because Camilo doesn't believe it because he thinks he's 7 foot tall with rats.
Because he was like 6 when Bruno disappeared.
Right?
Also, subtitles sometimes get things wrong.
Yeah. Yes, frustratingly. I've considered making entire blog posts about it, but I haven't actually done it. I just complain at my sister instead. What was I about to say? Wow, brain. Yeah, Bruno. Meme. Meme. That's what I was going to say. There's a meme with the crab from Moana.
Yeah.
The shiny guy. What's his?
Oh yeah.
Tamatoa.
Yes, thank you, Tamatoa. And he's like, are you just trying to get me to talk about Bruno? Because if you are, I will gladly do so in song form. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And then Miranda wrote the songs for both movies. It all comes together.
He's a talented songwriter.
Yeah.
Just got gold paint all over my hand. I'll be right back.
Oh yeah, that was the other thing. Servants found him unconscious in the morning. West had just been torn into pieces in front of him. They didn't find blood everywhere.
Well, here's again where we get into the weird how much of that final scene was he hallucinating or wasn't he?
Which then, harking back, lends a little bit more credence to him just saying that he disappeared. May have come down a little too hard on him for that. It just, servants found him unconscious and West was gone and the incinerator contained only unidentifiable ash. Like,
so maybe
there had to have been other things around.
Excuse me, sorry.
They didn't just dismember him, they cleaned the whole place too.
He thought that he saw them disappear through a hole. It turned out that it was actually just them cleaning with bleach and he passed out from the smell.
Yeah.
That's why we solved it. We are the best armchair detectives. So, by the way, in case you couldn't tell, I'm feeling a lot better.
Oh, so I just thought of something, like reading the end, and it kind of gives me like this cool like idea. But what if, bear with me, the person telling the story, which I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Do we ever hear his name?
I don't know if they ever give the narrator's name.
What if he was West's last subject? Like, what if all this stuff in his head was him, like his body reacting to the injection of everything, and then he wakes up unconscious, West's perfect creation.
Ooh.
But where did West go? He would want to claim credit for that. They did kill him. They killed West right after he did this to him.
He killed West.
He killed West and doesn't remember.
Even bigger.
I don't think the text supports this, but I like it as maybe.
I'm still running with it.
I think it's awesome.
I like it. I have down for next time the hounds, the hound, the rats in the wall, and the festival. And I'm wondering if we should include the festival or if we should just do the hounds and the rats in the wall.
Well, it's 27 pages without the festival.
It seems to be about what we do. So
it's
how long is the festival?
It's 10 pages. It's 37 with the festival.
That's not bad.
Okay. Well, let's stick with that.
I mean,
then.
we just did like 36, right? So
yeah, let's stick with it. We'll do all three: the hound, the rats in the walls, and the festival. I every time I read the hound, my brain's like of the Baskervilles, and then I'm like rats in the walls, and like 7 foot tall rats along his back, and then I'm like, and the festival.
We're going to the festival.
What is that from?
I think it's from Into the Woods.
Okay. I'm like, this is a thing that I have heard probably once or twice in my life, enough that it's ringing a bell, but I can't place it.
Yeah, I recognize it, and then I was like, and then I was going, wait, what? No, yeah. The king is throwing a festival.
Festival, yeah.
I'm going to
it is from Into the Woods, okay.
Yep, it is. I love Into the Woods.
I love it. I just don't like the fact that Disney made it.
I don't like the live Well, they're both live action. I don't like the not stage play one as much.
I love the stage play. Like,
The stage play is
beautiful. I loved it. No, Disney's done something weird. Since they have added all the Marvel TV shows to their collection of videos, Disney Plus is now requiring you to verify that you're over a certain age limit.
Yeah.
Even though they already had the kids section, which is really more for toddlers.
Yeah. Disney.
They don't want a 4-year-old watching Daredevil. That's fair.
Yeah. Well, no, I saw something because they have so much and like really quality stuff, but their user interface is not really the best.
My laptop hates it, but that's my laptop problem. I think not a Disney problem.
Well, it's inconsistent. Sometimes, you're watching something, it'll auto advance to the next thing, and then the next episode won't. Sometimes it auto advances and then skips into it, like beyond the title. What am I trying to say? Beyond the
intro,
opening credits. And then sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you have to like turn. I think they fixed this one. You used to have to turn closed captioning back on for each new thing instead of it staying on. And when you go into the thing where closed captioning comes on, it's not just like a little menu in the side, it comes across the whole screen. So there are a lot of things like that bug me with it. And then like the way that they have it's separate, it's like the youngest of young children or anybody else. And
you can have something in the middle.
Because I don't my oldest baby turned 10 today, and I still can't wrap my brain around it. I'm like, my 9-year-old, no, he's not. He's in double digits. But he I don't want him watching Daredevil either.
Yeah, he's probably a little young for Daredevil. It's a 14, you have to be 14 years or older to watch it. Like, he's probably a little young for that.
Yeah. No, I'm just I think there was something I saw at one point, another meme, because this is how I communicate. There was something about I think it was Disney Plus phenomenal. It was the phenomenal cosmic powers of to be a living space thing, but it was talking about like the amount of stuff that they have available and then the quality of the servers.
Yes. Oh my
god. I can't remember exactly how it was worded, but I was like, yep.
Yes, that. There was one night my friend and I were gonna sync up our accounts and watch the new episode of one of the Marvel shows, and it crashed because there were too many people trying to watch it. We were just like, this is so dumb.
Which one?
It was early. I think it was WandaVision. So it was one of the first ones that they did. And they figured out that people were staying up to watch as the episode dropped, and they needed to fix that. I
am not people. Like, give me 3 days, guys. Let me watch it. I don't need all the spoilers the very second it drops, please. Because I'm in like 30,000 different geek groups and everybody wants to talk about them.
That's when you just mute them all and don't look at them until you watch the episode.
But then I miss all the other stuff too. That's not okay.
You guys watch The Masked Singer?
No. Well, part way.
I was watching season 6, and there's this character. I thought I knew the bull. I thought I knew who he was, and I'm not going to spoil it for anybody because I don't want
What is it? What show is this?
It's The Masked Singer.
Okay.
These people just up as characters and they sing. You gotta try to guess who they are.
Yeah.
And I thought I knew who the bull was, and I'm just scrolling through TikTok, and it's just like, hey, so I got unveiled as the bull on Master.
Oh no! You're just like, no.
Yeah. No.
I'm still in season 3. Don't look at me.
I was like, I was right, but at the same time, come on.
And it's not like. I mean, you can't just put a
like the first thing you said in the video. Like, geez, thanks.
Yeah. Like that's how I just got introduced to this. Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm there with you. All right. Well, I'm going to stop the stream. I want to stay on with you guys to discuss some plans a little bit longer.
I don't have a ton more.
That's okay.
Okay, so I
But-
finished 1 foot.
I have sketches. I promise they're on there.
I
Can't really
finished
show you anything.
restuffed
I'm-
him. 'Cause-
I'm close to done. I have a little bit of gold edging left.
Oh my
Ooh.
gosh, I love
I'll
it.
do calligraphy tonight. So if you follow me on Instagram or on my Facebook page, you'll get to see it finished tonight.
And I always put those links down under the video
Yeah.
also. So for any